There we go. Hey, welcome. That's my book, just so you see it. This is me. Hi. Welcome to day 20 of my commitment to this 30-day Periscope challenge. My name is Barry Selby. My website is barryselby.com. I am the heartbreak repair specialist working with strong women who want to attract amazing relationships. And today's topic is going to be interesting. Well, they usually are. I like to be that way. Personal best health. I like that. That's a good Twitter name. If you're first time here with me, please type in your name and where you're from. That's cool to have, so I get a sense of who's in my audience. Most of my audience is women, usually. On the scopes, not so much. It's a mix, which is kind of fun to talk to men and women. Hey there. Who's that? Oh, hi, Julie. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for coming. Thanks for the hearts. Oh, yes. Feel free to give hearts all the way through the scope, because I like them. It's a bit of a ranking system thing, too. I've got some good stuff to talk about in the next you can do differently in the next scope. But this one's about, are you ready for love? And this is primarily for the single people, but if you're in a relationship, it'll be valid for you too. So, some of the ground rules. First of all, so you know who I am, my name is Barry Selby. Hearts are pretty, they are, and they also have value as a ranking system, although from what I can tell, I've got to go up by a magnitude of about 1,000 to get close to the people who are really doing good stuff. So, alright, thank you for joining me. My name is Barry Selby. I'm known as the heartbreak repair specialist, also the love doctor to my friends. And I work with mostly successful single women who are fed up repeating the same cycle over again. Hi Sarah, welcome to my scope. Nice to have you here. And so I also work with single women, but I do work with couples and with men too who are committed to the journey. And thanks for the lovely pink hearts, I love them. What topic? What top? Okay, rewind slightly. Let's calm down a bit. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, one quick tip that I found out with the update to Periscope, which I'll tell you about in the other one, but just here, you can also invite or post this on Facebook as well as on Twitter. That's a new update that came in today. So if you want to share with people on Twitter and invite your friends and followers inside of Periscope, you can also share it on Facebook like that. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. It's expanding the Periscope universe, so that's good. So today's topic, are you ready for love? And most people who are single are saying, of course I am, of course I am. Yes. Based upon your environment, though, that may not be true. And I'm going to get to that in a second, which is saying your worldview, in fact. So thanks for the hearts. Appreciate those and welcome again. If you're first time here, please put in your name and where you're from so I get a sense. And this scope is particularly towards single people, but it does apply quite a bit to if you're in a relationship. And this is for male and female. This one applies to everybody. And I can own up to several of these things myself. I've been through too, so I'm speaking from experience. Okay? So again, I do work with people who are single and want relationships, and this is one of my key tips. It's in my book, which I did show at the beginning of the scope, and this is this book here, 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. It's on Amazon as a physical book like this, also a Kindle version on Amazon, and it's also available on my website as an ebook if you want a PDF version. Okay? One of the things I talk about in the book is, are you ready for love? And thank you for coming and welcome to the scope. What I mean literally is not so much, are you ready to attract a relationship, but are you doing things to stop it from happening? Pondering, feeling in the audience. I want to take my time with this one. I've noticed my scopes get kind of amped up when I get excited. And I have a hard time catching up with what I'm saying, so I don't feel that you'll have a chance, because at least I know my accent. And for those who wonder, I am English living in California. So not South African, not Australian, not New Zealand, any of those countries. I have friends from all of them, but I'm not from there, from England. So, what do I mean by being not ready for love? You may have a desire, a yearning, a passion to have a relationship, and if you're already in one, ideally you still have that for your relationship. But we tend to do things by default and patterns that tend to make attracting that harder. And what I literally mean, in one of the things I talk about, and I'm sorry I'm sweating because it's so hot here again today, it's over 90 degrees and high humidity in LA, which is really weird. So that's just putting up with it. So I may be dripping whilst I'm doing this scope, because it's still pretty hot. So what do I mean? I talk to my single clients, and when I'm coaching them, I do invite them to prepare their physical space at home. So if you are single and you want to attract a partner, but you don't have that yet, some key things you can do that are simple but really transformational is, first of all, make space in your closet at home. If you have an apartment, a house, a home, and you have your closet filled with your stuff, clothes, tools, keys, whatever that is, How do you expect to have room to have somebody enter your life? It sounds metaphorical, but it's actually physical. Making space in your closet makes room for someone to put stuff in your closet. Does that make sense? Or wardrobe if you're English like me. But that's one of the keys. Putting, for example, making sure your bed accommodates 2 people. Sounds very silly to say this, but so many people I've dealt with have a bed that's either too small, or they have 1 pillow, or they have 1 bedside table. Part of this preparation for a relationship is preparing your own environment physically. And I've got some other things to talk about as well, but let's start with physical. Your physical environment. So if you now, people who want to be romantic, and this is a romantic tip, and if you want a real relationship, it will include romance, ideally. Also prepare dinner where they have place settings for 2 people. They don't have to put out 2 sets of food, that's wasting food. But having 2 place settings, 2 candles on the table, 2 glasses on the table, you get where I'm going with this. It's preparing the environment to entertain a partnership, entertain a relationship. If you are in a relationship, make sure you have room for your partner in the physical space. I've seen couples where one of the partners tend to expand what they had and started pushing energetically the other person out of the space. It wasn't healthy. They almost ended up breaking up. Thankfully, we saw it and acted on it quick enough to change the direction of that choice. So making space in your life physically. It also means when you're in your life, make accommodation time-wise to have a relationship too. If you're a workaholic and all your spare time is spent going to the gym or sleeping or working on projects, you don't have time in your schedule for a relationship. So making a concerted effort to allocate open time where maybe you don't do anything, or you do social things where you could add somebody into your life. That's 2 things. So again, back up, the first one is making space in your physical environment. Thank you for the hearts, I appreciate that a lot. Make some space in your physical environment, home, where you can accommodate somebody else moving in. That's part of the opening for a relationship. And also make space in your schedule, your time and your days to actually entertain a partner. Even if it's a long distance one, make time so you can have phone calls, Skype calls. I mentioned on a scope the day before yesterday, I think it was, about texting versus calling. And that was a whole other rant that I went on. So if you enjoy my sense of humor, definitely tune into that one. It's on catch.me, and I'll tell you where that is shortly. But making space in your day to talk to your future relationship is a key component of attracting what you want. There's other places too. Having a second toothbrush in your bathroom. It sounds like a silly little thing, but you can go get a 99-cent toothbrush, put it on the counter, put it on the bathroom counter. It's adding that energetic. You're making space for somebody to come in. Now, this is non-specific about who. That's not the focus here. I have a whole bunch of things in my program for the women that will do that to help you get clear about who. But in terms of getting clear about the what, which is relationship, making space in your home, making space in your schedule, making space in your heart, and I'll get to that one in a second, are vital components to making room to attract your partner. Now, I want to make this clear. The heart work is one of the biggest parts. As I said at the beginning, I'm known as the heartbreak repair specialist because I help my clients heal their hearts and stop breaking them by the choices they make in relationships. So accommodating a relationship in your heart means to make your heart, no, that's the wrong word we're putting it, to bring your heart to health, which means loving yourself, owning your own power, your magnificence, whether you're a man or a woman, owning your value. So then you become ready for a relationship that isn't wounded. You become ready for a relationship that's healthy, and you start attracting someone at the level you want to play at. Because if you're walking along with a gaping wound in your emotional chest, looking for someone to fix it for you, you're looking for someone to be your savior. I don't support that. I've done that too many times. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. This whole heartbroken thing. This is going back about 20 years ago? Whoa, no, almost 30. It was the late 80s. I had just got my brand new car. It was a white Toyota Supra. Beautiful, I loved it. It was the first of the new type of Supras that came out in California. Had a slope nose V6, straight six. It was a fun car, I loved driving it. And someone at a seminar called me a white knight because I had the English accent and I was in part of the event I was dressed in white. And the car became my steed. I had white knight as the license plate. White knight, excuse me, as the license plate. Let me just say, my relationship patterns after that, I felt like I was this knight in shining armor, saving damsels in distress who were hurt and in pain. And I can say this, I literally got clear I had to get rid of it, the license plate. And that was a whole other story I won't tell about here, but basically I had to get rid of that license plate because it was betraying my truth. it was putting me in a place of being the savior. And it was a very unfair and unbalanced and codependent pattern for relationships that didn't help me or my partners. So be careful what you ask for. That's one thing I'll say. But I want to say also, if you're looking around and you've got a gaping hole in your chest, emotionally speaking, I'm talking about, don't go looking for someone to fill it with their love. Fill it yourself. Become caring, respectful, and loving for who you are. So that when somebody shows up to love you, it becomes additive to who you are, not replacing what you think is missing. Now, I did a Periscope last week, actually maybe two, on the whole codependent conversation. Much more deep depth in that, and if you're willing to go into that conversation, it's a lot deeper. Please go to, I'll give you the site now, a website called catch.me, katch.me/barryselby. That's where all my scopes are stored up to today's, actually including today's when it gets finished. And that's an archive site that's free for you if you use Periscope to save your scopes with your name. So I've got a bunch up there now, 20 plus scopes, including ones about the codependent pattern, that if you dealt with that and you don't know how to get out of it, watch those scopes, they'll help you. I did mention earlier in the scope that part of the process of helping you get an attractive relationship, God, it's so good, I like that. Great one, thank you for that awesome handle you just dropped there. I mentioned, and this is for the ladies, if you are ready to attract a relationship, and making space is part of that, that's one of the 8 principles I teach in my program called the Dating Advantage. And that's an 8-module program that will take you from now to where you want to be to attract an amazing relationship. It's online, it's step by step, and it'll get you where you want to go. And all this stuff is on my website at barryselby.com. If you're ready to talk about commitment of coaching and support, there's a Let's Chat button. How do you know if being in love with a hyperpolar person is real? No, I was making a very silly comment about you are half the time, but that's dangerous. I won't go there. Bipolar is a challenge. So if you are in love with that person, you may want to have them get help. Because unless you are a therapist and you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody, if you're a therapist that way, you need to give them help. Bipolar is a very challenging emotional instability. It's not my area of expertise, but I know that for people who are dealing with that, it's very hard to be balanced. So unless they get help, it makes relationships with them very challenging. So I'm just letting you know that ahead of time. If you've been in a relationship with somebody for a long time, you both want to get some support in that area, and that's not my strength, so I wouldn't recommend my skills for you in that case. Does that help a little bit? Bipolar is challenging, yes, as are many of these patterns. You're welcome. Sorry I did not be able to give you immediate help on that one. But for the single ladies, the program I have called the Dating Advantage is on my site. Yeah, I know, I understand. I have met some people who are, and friends of mine who are in a relationship with people like that, and it's outside my scope. And I'm not a licensed therapist, although a background in spiritual psychology. My work is much more holistic, so I don't work with people in the therapeutic context. That's not my strength, it's not my license, and it's not where I want to play. There are people who are trained for that in the States that do that. Okay? But for you single ladies who are looking for love and want real help in the area, my Dating Advantage program will rock your world in a good way. But all the stuff I have on my website, you can browse through the different programs, my free videos and audios, and also if you want to get a consult, a discovery session with me, on my website across the top, the first button says Let's Chat. Just click on there and you can get a form to fill out, which will get you sent to me, and we schedule a chat, and I can help you with your trajectory in a relationship. So, I'm just really looking back, if there's anything else I need to talk about regarding the making space for a relationship if you're ready for love. Oh yes, there was one other piece. I'm just deciding I want to say this. There was a story, and I've quoted this before in interviews. It was in the newspapers. This is going back several years. This will come back in. I'm tying the thread back into Are You Ready for Love? So bear with me. There was a report in the newspaper in the South. This is back in the 90s, I think it was, where the police were called for a domestic disturbance, domestic violence incident at a home. The police cruiser pulls up, the 2 cops get out, go into the house, and there's a lot of screaming, shouting, and clashing of pans and throwing stuff around coming from the house. They go into the house, and they come out about 2 or 3 minutes later with the husband in a wife-beater t-shirt, they're dragging him backwards out from the house to the police car. It's a squad car. A few moments later, the wife staggers to the doorway, black eye, blood coming from her head, looking all beaten up, disheveled, with a kitchen knife in her hand. She comes running out the house door, running down the path after the police officers with her husband, picks up the knife, and stabs one of the officers. What? She didn't stab her husband. She stabbed one of the officers. When they finally settled her down and interviewed her, or I should say worked with her to see what happened, what she expressed was she had felt that the police were removing her only source of love. Just waiting for you to feel that one. She had wired into her system that the abuse and the violence she was being put through by her husband was what she determined was love. It is, and it's a pattern. This is what I'll talk about. I'm going to touch into it here, but I'll do a whole scope on this later on because this is a big subject. But being ready for love not only means preparing your space and preparing your schedule in your life, it means also healing the stuff that's in the way. And this is the big work I do with my clients. Sorry, I'm hearing a cat in the background there. It's my friend Stormy, who you've been introduced to last week on one of the scopes. He's a cool kid. That's the cat that lives here. So, back to the story. This woman, basically, as I've seen many cases, had been raised through an abusive environment through her family, and again, repeating in her marriage. Because we tend to take on the patterns as kids, and I mentioned this one in a scope 3 weeks ago as well, so it's a while back in my recordings, that we tend to take on patterns as a child that play out in our adult life. Now, that's an extreme story I'm talking about here, so that's why I use it to illustrate this. Most people don't have anything close to that in their life, thankfully. And if you are carrying patterns, behaviors, beliefs about love that are tied to other ways of being, that may get in the way of your choices of love. So if you think you want a healthy relationship, but your history tells a different story, that's when you want to get support. Get help, read a book, go to therapy, or in my case, work with me as a coach, to heal those past history patterns so you don't carry them into your next relationship. That's part of being ready for love. So again, being ready for love is a lot of work, both outer and inner. Okay? So I appreciate you sharing this with your friends. Appreciate you sharing it both now and also the replay. This is big stuff I'm starting to talk about, and I'm going to talk about the whole thing about those codependent patterns. Well, I'll probably talk about it tomorrow. I've done them before. I'm going to go deeper in it next 2 days or so when I go back on the scope tomorrow, probably. Not promising. These are my list of scopes changes each day. It depends on what's going on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving the hearts. Please share it with your friends. You can watch the replay and you can give hearts in the replay as well, so you can tap the screen up to 500 times. It's kind of fun to do. I do it for my friends to help boost those numbers. Second thing is, part of my daily scoping now is I'm doing a Perry Tips scope after my love scope. This is the love scope, and I'll be doing a scope right after this in about 2 minutes, which will be a Perry Tips, and this one is about the updates to Periscope today, so you may want to watch that. Please subscribe to my website. If you go to barryselby.com, you can find out more about me there. Thanks for watching this one. Watch the replay if you just joined, because I just finished up this scope. 2 things. The catch.me site is a great site to go to if you use Periscope. Go to katch.me and get yourself an account there. My stuff is under /barryselby. All my scopes you can watch there. Second thing is, if you're a scoper, as in you're doing broadcasts and you want to get better at it, I highly recommend joining our group that we're doing a 30-day Periscope challenge. Now, this is day 20 for the Periscope challenge, but we're going to keep going afterwards. That's the plan. If you want to get better at Periscoping, go to this website, Michelle Whiteheart, which is Michelle, 2 L's, White the color, Heart without an E, that's HART, .com/Periscope. So michellewhiteheart.com/Periscope will give you the information to opt in to get into the list, and you can join our Facebook group and learn how to Periscope better. We share tips and guidance and we support each other in spreading the word. Okay? Thank you for watching here, and again, I'll be doing a Perry Tip scope in about 2 minutes after this one. That's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back on shortly, and get out there and do your own Periscopes. And if you're looking for help and love, and you want help in the right places to get what you really want, reach out to me. Again, my site is barryselby.com, and you go and right on the website at the top, it says, let's chat. Click on the button, let's have a talk, let me get you where you want to go. Okay? Thank you for this one. Thanks for the hearts you shared, and thanks for being part of this community. I appreciate your support and your viewership, because I'm starting to expand into my new role as being a teacher in this medium. It's fun. Thank you again, and I will see you, well, in the next scope, or if you're looking for the love scopes, next one's tomorrow, probably around 6 p.m. Pacific time once again, and I'll be back sharing some more good stuff and some challenging stuff, because I don't like just giving you fluff. It's not my style. Thanks again, and I will speak to you later. Bye.